Welcome to Black Tie Optional.
I'm Sydney.
I'm Colleen.
Let's get into it. I haven't really told people yet, but
you're hearing it first here.
Yeah, you're hearing it first here. I think that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, you have to really be realistic with yourself and just be like, is this something I want because I saw it on the internet and I think it's cute? Or is it something that I personally connect with? Don't go to styled shoots and start promoting yourself as a wedding photographer.
Welcome back to Black Tie Optional. I am so excited to have Alyssa on today. She is an amazing photographer, but also she's on the other side. She's a bride. She's getting married this year. So I want to let her introduce herself, tell us about your business, maybe how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, my name's Alyssa Simpson. I am a wedding photographer. Focus is on weddings and couples, traveling, things like that. I started photography, I say technically around when I was like 16, but I think probably when I was like 5 or 6. Just kind of been into it my whole life. And then kind of bought a camera in high school, started taking pictures of people. I think I started out doing seniors and like random high school couples.
That's so fun though. So you were in high school doing that?
Yes.
That's cool.
I like officially started it in high school. And then went into college, did random like senior photos or I guess grad photos, which is not really, I guess, common around the country. It's really common in the South, but did that, kind of had random friends or friends of friends kind of start asking me to do weddings, and that's how I kind of got into it. It was never my goal for that to be my full-time job. I went to school for finance and marketing. I concentrated in real estate. I got my real estate license when I was like 19, and my plan was just to do photography part-time until I could kind of plant my feet into the real estate world. And that was around when COVID hit, and real estate was just not really for me. Photography kind of took off, and that's just kind of where.
But I guess like, you know, what you went to college for really kind of helps, you know, like, so it definitely helps kind of even give you an up in marketing.
Yes. I mean, even with photography, I love the business side of it. I love the marketing aspect. I feel like I know my way around like the customer service, or I guess like the customer experience, things like that. So I do feel like it really did help for sure.
So when you did your first wedding, where you're like, okay, actually I want to be a wedding photographer?
I don't even know if I really did then. I mean, I was like, this is really cool, you know, but I didn't really see it as like, this is what I'm going to do. This is a job
or this is a career.
No, not at all. I was just like, oh, cool. This is like some extra money. And back then I was like, this is incredible.
Like someone's paying me to do this.
And I charged like no money. So it was a huge back then. And I really feel like I truly just fell into it, which I'm lucky, but.
So if like this is what you did for the rest of your life, would you be okay doing that? Like, do you love it that much, or do you see?
I love it right now. I love being a wedding photographer. I love like that it allows me to like meet so many new people and travel and all those things. But I've always told people I don't see myself having one career my whole life. I see myself pivoting into different things. I've never really pictured one career ever. So I don't know. I feel like maybe like a different career every decade or something. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
I think you change like every 10 or 12 years or something like that. Like your personality.
Right. New career. I don't think I would ever really. I don't know if I would ever leave like the entrepreneurship side.
Or
I think
even
I would
the creative.
I think I would still have to be in like if I ever got into a job working for someone else, it would have to be a role where I can be like really independent and creative. I don't think I'd be able to completely shift into something that's so different,
like in a box or something.
I don't think I could do that.
So how did you, whenever you started photography and like now where you are in your career, did it take you a while to find your personal style? Like, because I feel like I love your colors. Like, I'm like, how does she even, like, how did your white even look like that? Like, I love your colors. So how did you come to that?
It has been such a long journey. I honestly don't feel like I came into a style that I'm really proud of up until almost exactly a year ago. I bought all the presets from all the
Mm-hmm.
photographers. I was tweaking stuff all the time. I was also shooting on a completely different camera system.
Okay.
I was on Nikon and I switched to Canon about a year ago. I was spending all my time editing. I mean, I was like sending photos from my computer to my phone, comparing the lighting on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
sending them to other people. Other people are like, I can't tell the difference between these two photos,
Right.
Alyssa.
Yeah.
And it was eating me alive. Like it was a really unhealthy time in my life because I
Yeah.
was always on my computer. And I don't know. I think I honestly stopped looking at what other people were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through a phase where I mean, I still kind of do it. When I get on Instagram, I only look at people's stories. I don't scroll on the
Uh-huh.
feed because that's when I start getting into that phase again. And I'm like, no, I like what I'm doing.
Yes.
It feels true to me. And it took a lot of time to stop kind of comparing aspects of other people's work that I
Mm-hmm.
like and try to make my own. And I just started doing
I
it.
think I literally follow like three videographers because I feel the
Yeah.
same way, like, which is, I'm not a photographer, so I can follow all these photographers. I'm like, oh, so beautiful, I love this, da da
Right.
da. But then I'm like, I can't even look at other videographers' work because I feel like I will subconsciously start comparing or like,
Yes.
what am I doing wrong? Like all the things like that. So
Yes.
I totally get that. And it's not because I don't love your work. It's like, I can't see it. I don't want to.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm friends with photographers who have said that to each other. Like they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I have to mute you. I have to unfollow you for a second. Like
Yeah.
I love you, but
Yeah.
I can't be looking at this right now."
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's important. I think it's great to gather inspo from other
Right.
people,
Yeah.
but you can't let it get past just being inspo. Like you've
Yes.
got to know where to draw the line in
Hmm.
how you're perceiving other people's work, I feel like.
Talking about inspiration, this just like came to me because I've had this happen before. But have you ever had a couple that like they brought you this Pinterest board, okay? Like down to like, where's this girl putting her foot? Let me copy it.
Yes. I I mean it happened a lot when I was newer
Okay.
and I think I even did like pull from it.
Mm-hmm.
And as of lately, I think it's happened to me maybe like once or twice in the past year. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because these people probably have had experiences with previous photographers where they
Mm-hmm.
had to do that. And I kind of just tell people, I'm like, hey, I love the Pinterest board. I actually
Yeah, yeah,
encourage
yeah.
it now.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage couples to send me stuff that they
Inspiration.
like, but
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just inspiration. We are
Right.
not gonna sit there on your wedding day or your shoot day or whatever and just like
Yes.
sit there and scroll through these photos.
Well, not even that. Like I've had the couple be like, "Oh wait, where did her hand placement?" I'm like, "Where is it comfortable for you?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no, like you putting your arm in this awkward position does not look good. But like, where is it
Yes.
comfortable for you?"
Yes.
I know.
And people will compare photos of couples that are, I mean, 3 inches different in height. And then they're like
This,
12 inches different or the same height.
yes.
I'm like, you are not this couple.
Right. No, absolutely. I feel like that is a big thing, even for brides to even consider that, but also like makeup wise. Like, don't bring your makeup artist, someone who does not even resemble you,
Yeah. Yeah.
like just
Yeah,
expectations.
with all things. I mean, a big one, and I feel like many of my photographer friends have felt this, is we'll get sent inspo for a location and we'll be in Arkansas and the photos will be in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. And you're
And
like,
we're like,
okay,
that's,
do
we
you
don't
know
have
about this? Yeah,
volcanoes
do you know where this
here.
place is? Can you
Yeah.
drop me a pin?
Right. It's like, I'm sorry, we
Yeah.
can't recreate this here in Rogers.
But we can fly to Hawaii if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to do that, I'm down. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know. That is hard, like managing
Yeah.
expectations
Yeah.
or like what they do is going to be fine no matter where they are. I think that a lot of
Yes.
couples don't like they build it up so much.
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you were starting, how did you like launch your career? Like what helped you get to where you are now? Was it styled shoots? Was it making connections? Like what would you say
Um,
really helped you? Or like looking back, you're like, I wish I would have done this sooner.
yeah. I I think my big thing was Instagram,
Okay.
which I never really grew like a huge following on social media or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, but pretty much all of the inquiries I would have coming in were Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I did a few styled shoots. I didn't do very many, and I think when I got started, styled shoots weren't really a thing
Okay.
either. I think the first one I ever went to was I think Laura Powers had
Mm-hmm.
one that was I think it was White Rock Mountain. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
And it's like out in the
Somewhere.
boonies in
Yeah.
Arkansas, and I think that was 2020.
Okay.
And that was the first one I had ever gone to. I didn't know what it was like. I remember being so
I was
nervous.
like, was it overwhelming? Like, was it a ton of people or?
It wasn't an insane amount of people, but I just remember everyone just kind of like dove in and started taking pictures, and I just didn't know where to wedge myself in or anything like that. It was really scary.
It's like holding your camera above the crowd, like clicking.
Yeah, no, it was terrifying. And so yeah, didn't do a ton of styled shoots. There were a few that I did that I really enjoyed, and I think that they helped me kind of hone into styles that I like to shoot, but I don't think any of them really like catapulted
Yeah.
my business or anything like that.
I feel like something which obviously like social media is like a love-hate relationship, but like you need it
You really do, yeah.
to have a business. But also, have you noticed like, which let me say, I've noticed that photographers or videographers will put out like all of this work from a styled shoot, and like yes, they will tag it's a styled shoot, but then like couples assume, and I'm not saying that their work isn't good, but
Yeah.
like you have to have different skills to actually manage the stress of a wedding day, manage the things that go right and wrong and all the
Yeah.
things. Like, have you kind of ran into anything like that?
Yes. I feel like there's been instances where I've seen maybe someone that like inquired with me and see that they go a different direction,
Right.
and then you find out that that different direction was someone whose Instagram page is all styled shoots. And I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they can handle it
Right.
really well, but I think that, I mean, they're completely different experiences.
There's
Completely different.
definitely value and worth and experience.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
no, like experience of like on a wedding day. That's like
Yes.
a styled shoot is a controlled environment. We can pause.
Yeah.
We can't do that on a wedding day.
Yeah. I mean, a styled shoot, you go and then you have hours to maybe get one perfect shot.
Right.
And on a wedding day, things might be behind. You might have literally 12 minutes to take all of your couple portraits.
Yeah.
And you can't just sit there and just ponder poses all day long. And it's not
Right.
even just that. I mean, just the chaos overall of a wedding day. I think even days that I've found to be like my favorite wedding days based off of the timeline being really relaxed are still rush days, you know? And it's hard to get those same shots and things like that.
Not even that. I mean, the styled shoots, they're models most times.
Right.
Or a couple call,
Yeah.
like, so like managing different couples, different personalities, like there's a lot to be said of a photographer that is like experienced in that
Oh, absolutely.
versus someone who's just like telling a model to already do their job and they're amazing at it.
I mean, I've been to styled shoots before, and I've been around styled shoots where there's couples, and there's two different things that I think happen. There's one when you're at a styled shoot and it's actual professional models. A lot of the time they're posing themselves the whole time, and your job is to just take the photo.
Yes.
And that's whenever it's like those things that it's like, oh, your camera takes great pictures. It almost is that, because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone else is doing all the work. They're
Yeah.
putting the setups in the best lighting conditions. I mean, they're posing themselves. And then there's the other scenario that happens at styled shoots where there's 10 photographers and one photographer is directing and posing everybody, and then you're getting to reap the rewards of taking that shot
Of them giving them that,
of
like,
their direction.
yes.
And I have been to one styled shoot that was incredible. It was Melissa Marshall. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a really great photographer. She's based out of Oklahoma, I believe. And she did one where it was, you got broken down into groups of 3, so you couldn't shoot in more than groups of 3. And then afterwards, you got your own individual time. So you got like timed
Wow.
shots, like of just you. No one else could even approach
Right.
your setup and your posing in your direction, which was awesome. And I pulled
Yeah.
lots of photos from that because I was like, this
Your
is my
work.
work. These are my poses. This is my direction.
Right.
And that was an incredible experience.
Right. What if a couple books you and like you said, you have reaped the reward of another photographer's pose and then you're like, how did she get that?
Right. And then you get to the wedding day and it's like the most basic.
Yeah, and then your couple's
Whatever.
disappointed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then-
I'm huge on, I think my style shoots are great for, like I said, like getting a basis of what your style is. Like go to
Yeah.
a style shoot if you want to do work in, like, if you want to focus on shooting in more like industrial areas or city, then go to solid shoots like that. Or if you want to do stuff that's like out in nature, go do stuff like that. So that way that can kind of get sprinkled into your portfolio. But don't go to solid shoots and start promoting yourself as a wedding photographer.
Or charging like what a
Experienced wedding
different person.
photographer prices. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And because some people, I think newer people nowadays, like I said, when I started, that wasn't a thing. And so now I think because styled shoots are just so available everywhere,
Yes.
you can go and you can take these beautiful photos at a styled shoot and you're like, oh my gosh, my work looks just like this professional photographer's work who's been in the industry for 10 years. I can charge what she charges. And it's
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
you can't. Well, you shouldn't.
No.
I mean, I don't think it'll last very long.
Right.
So, yeah,
No, word of mouth is like the biggest thing.
I think so.
But also, I mean, styled shoots are valuable in the instance of like, what if you wanted to like tweak your style? You can't
Yes.
really do that on a couple who's already booked you on a certain style.
Yes.
But that is a good, like I was just thinking when you were talking about that, I was like, okay, if you wanted to like mess with your coloring or mess with,
Yes.
light and things like that.
Right. The one that I went to, the one that was hosted by Melissa Marshall, I actually rented a Canon for the
Okay.
first time. So I rented a potential setup that I wanted to buy and took it to that styled shoot. That way, if I messed up or if I like I wasn't able to tweak settings and stuff the way I'm
Yeah.
used to on my Nikon, then I'm not wasting
Like
anything
their
aside
wedding
from
day.
like the couple hours that I was there.
Yeah.
And that was where I did start to
Okay.
like be like, okay, I do like this system better. I do like the coloring of this better. I like my presets or my style better on this thing. And that is actually where I started to tweak my work.
So that is a good, like really, that's a good tool because, you don't know until you're in it, but yet you can't like risk that on a wedding day.
Oh yeah, no, I think it took me a while before I could go take a new like camera setup to a wedding day. I think I still had like my backup Nikon stuff that I was like,
Absolutely.
I don't know, like if I feel like I can't shift quick enough, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go take this. And then from there I kind of slowly started easing into like a different editing style and whatnot.
So how is it now being on the other side, being a bride? Is there anything like new that you're like, I did not realize brides have to go through this, or I did not realize anything like that?
I think that and I actually talked to one of my friends about this, who she said that she was so glad that she got married a few years ago because it was before the hype of TikTok. And you're seeing all these luxury weddings, you're seeing all these weddings of people who have insane amounts of money and who have they go all out. I mean,
Yeah.
these are weddings that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so now instead of looking at the typical wedding for inspo, you are looking at these very lavish weddings.
Right.
And you're comparing your budget and your style and your aesthetic to these things on the internet. And I do feel like kind of getting into the planning of mine, I had to set realistic expectations for myself. And, being in the industry, I am a little bit more aware, not fully,
Right.
I am a little bit more aware of the different vendors and about
Cost
their
and
costs and things like that. So I think I didn't realize up until I started doing my stuff just how overwhelmed
you could
brides. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
typically, in typical relationships, it's the bride that's doing most of the planning.
Oh yeah.
How just overwhelmed they can get with just everything on the internet. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And then obviously your algorithm starts to change too.
Yes.
And then so it's not just a couple things here and there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's everything you're consuming on the internet is wedding
Absolutely.
related.
So has that been a struggle for you and your fiance to like keep true to yourself, like true to your style?
At first it was because I always tell people, they're like, you've seen so much, you've shot so many weddings, and there was so much that I liked about different weddings. There was so much that I took from other weddings as inspiration, and there wasn't a lot that I didn't like. I mean,
Yeah.
because everyone's just so different,
Yeah.
but there are things that fit other couples better than they would fit
Yeah.
me. And one of the things that I'm a little bit different than other people is I didn't care if my wedding was timeless or not.
Okay.
I don't particularly care if it's going to look tacky in 10 years
Right.
because it was significant of that era of my life, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of started doing things that I liked.
Yeah.
We're moving right now, so we're like redoing all of our like interior decor and everything, but we have a lot of color. We love color, you know, and he's just like so open-minded. He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
But we've never been very like super
Muted.
simple or muted
Yeah.
in our like personal aesthetic, so it wouldn't make sense to really bring that into a wedding day.
Right.
So we kind of, I mean, he, like I said, he really let me do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But he very much approved of like just going,
Yeah.
getting colorful, doing whatever, and who cares if we hate it later.
Right, exactly. And I feel like if you would have done the opposite of like, okay, I need to do this because I don't
Right.
want to regret it or whatever, you would have looked back at the end of the day and been like, oh crap, I should have,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
I think that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, you have to really be realistic with yourself and just be like, is this something I want because I saw it on the internet and I think it's cute? Or is it something that I personally connect with? Like me personally, at weddings, I love a champagne tower. I think they're beautiful. I don't drink champagne. It gives me headaches. I get so dehydrated.
It doesn't taste good to me, but
Yeah,
that.
I'm like I love them. I
Yeah.
love taking pictures of them,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make any sense for me to do one.
Yeah.
You know, just like little things like that. And I mean, if I have flowers in the house, I'm probably gonna go get colorful flowers.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes more sense for me to have
Right.
color. You know, and yeah, it's just being realistic with yourself. I feel like.
So speaking of your wedding, what is one area that you splurged on and one area that you tried to save on?
Ooh, okay. This is so random. Um, and I don't even know if it's necessarily a huge splurge. I think it is because we have to hire extra staff for it. We ended up getting real glassware and dinnerware, instead of like plastic or paper plates. And I tell all my friends this, like, I love going out to eat. I love the experience of eating out.
Yeah.
And like if I'm on a date with Wilson, I love just like the clatter of dishes and the people talking. And I wanted that experience for the wedding.
Yeah.
And like that ambiance of just like people talking and you hear plates clattering and stuff like that and forks on plates.
Yes.
And so yeah, I splurged on dinnerware.
Which honestly is probably not cheap, like,
Yeah, I
because it
mean,
starts adding up each little thing. So,
yes.
yeah, I feel like that's a splurge.
Yeah, like based on your guest count, it can add up quite a bit,
Yeah.
which our guest count luckily isn't outrageous. It's not small, but it's not outrageous. And it did start adding up, but then it was having to hire staff to wash the dishes. And so that's why I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of is a splurge for sure. That and just our dinner. I didn't want to go with like a typical catering company.
Okay.
So we're doing, I haven't really told people yet, but
Oh, you're hearing it first here.
yeah, you're hearing it first here. One of my favorite restaurants is Pizzeria Ruby. I don't know if you've been there yet. Okay. It's incredible. And so we're doing Pizzeria Ruby for our catering. And I didn't want like a fancy dinner because catered food at the end of the day, it just doesn't taste the same as it does in the restaurant.
No.
And I know that our pizza's not going to taste the same as it does from the restaurant, but I didn't want anything crazy, and I wanted us to be able to eat enough to dance all night.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went pizza, pasta, like very basic,
That's great.
but hopefully
I feel like you can
delicious.
take some cute pictures, photo ops with that
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we based like some of our like wedding signage and stuff kind of based off of having pizza there
Theme.
and whatnot.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
That is fun. So what is one area that you did try to like, okay, we can cut back here and save on X, Y, and Z?
Okay. So on florals,
Okay.
we're doing really cool florals, and the design that I want for florals is very pricey just because there's not a lot of filler, I guess, kind of in it. There's not a lot of like added fluff. So the florals that we do have are really pricey.
Okay.
So what we're doing there is like I specifically wanted a certain type of flower in our arrangements, and they were just so expensive. And so we decided to only get it in my bouquet.
Okay.
My bridesmaids aren't getting bouquets. They're not standing up at the altar with me.
Okay.
So that's, I feel like, the only reason that people have them so that they have something to hold up at the altar. Our groomsmen are not wearing boutonnieres.
Okay, I was literally just about to say my hot take is I don't like boutonnieres.
I don't think they're necessary. And they're really okay. People don't see this. The boutonniere is honestly probably the most stressful part of a wedding day.
They never stay
They
good. We have
yes.
to mess with them. And I don't know. I just love a good, like, clean suit too. I don't know. I'm weird.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that's wearing a boutonniere is Wilson. He didn't even want one.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, you have to look somewhat different.
Which I don't know. Maybe there's a tradition. I don't know the tradition.
I really don't know what it is either,
Yeah.
if there is one.
Maybe the florist just wanted extra money.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, and my florist told me, she's like, yeah, like these things really build up like they eat up a lot of your budget.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying, oh, the florist is trying to take money. It's like they have to make these little objects and them to stay together. So, like, I'm not
Right.
doubting it, but I'm just saying, like, I'll skip that and put it
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, and our wedding party's pretty big. We have 8 bridesmaids and 8 groomsmen.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was like, I want all of you to be a part of the day. I just don't want to spend that much money on y'all being part
Yeah.
of the day. So yeah, they're not getting any flowers. Wilson's having a boutonniere, and I don't even know. I think he probably wants something really simple.
Yeah.
And then we're eating up a big chunk of our floral budget, like on our head table.
Okay.
Like we're doing a really long tablescape.
So they're like kind of like family style then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so ours is going to be, I was like, I mean, at the end of the day, the photographer is only taking so many detailed pictures of tablescapes. So I was like, let's make the center table just like all out.
Yeah.
And the other tables can have little bud vases. I mean,
Yeah.
who really cares and who
Well,
is really paying attention at
How many
the end of
tables
the
are you
day?
going to have? Let's just say if you had 10. Are you going to ever print 10 different tables?
Right.
Here's every one of my tables.
Right. Here's table 1, table 2. Like you do, like, yeah, no, I'm never going to do
No.
anything with those. So, yeah, and then, I mean, the same thing too. And most florists will talk about this is you can repurpose flowers from the altar or whatever and go take them over to the reception space. And
Yeah.
so we're doing a little bit of that. But yeah, florals, it was weird. It was one thing that we like really splurged on, but also really cut back on at the same time. So like what we
Yeah.
do have is going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just we're going to be particular about how we kind of do like
Kind of.
use it.
Right. Yeah. No. I know. And like real flowers are so nice.
They are.
And they are worth it. So, like, I love
Yes.
flowers.
And we're donating our flowers too.
Are you using Grateful Vase?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes,
I just
we
reached
had-
out
yeah.
to her a couple days ago.
Perfect.
I saw that was new here, and and that's what I talk about too to people. I'm like, the flowers are so beautiful. I would love. I mean, and I'm going on my honeymoon 2 days later. What am I going to do with the flowers? And so I was thinking we could probably give some arrangements to family members,
Right.
friends, but I mean, not all of it.
But
And
you also know it's a tax write-off too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm really looking forward to that that aspect of it because I mean I love that it's going to, and I actually heard that from there was a wedding that I shot in Hot Springs.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was the florist or the wedding planner who did it, but they would say that they would send them off to retirement homes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I was like, that is such an amazing idea. And so I love that that's new here in Northwest Arkansas.
I know.
I'm really excited
we
about
had
that.
her on yesterday because I was like, that is something like I feel like it's a win-win.
It really is.
Like the dumpster doesn't need to see your flowers.
No. And that's just, I mean, and like I said, people probably don't really know how much flowers cost until they start wedding planning. It's a lot of money and it's a lot of money to throw away. And so I'm really, really, and I don't want to say throw away. Like on the wedding
Yeah.
day, they're amazing, but they're going to die.
But they're gonna die.
Yeah.
So let someone else enjoy them until they die.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It really is a
love that.
win-win. I'm so excited about it.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a brief pause in the episode to tell you thank you for supporting our podcast. It would mean the world to us if you could subscribe to whatever platform you are listening on. Let's get back to the episode. So now, what is your favorite part of a wedding day? It could be for your wedding that you're looking most forward to, or even working wedding. Do you like getting ready? Do you like ceremony? Do you like reception? Like, what is your favorite part of a day?
Okay. For when I'm photographing a wedding, I don't know what it is. This is the part that gets me every single wedding. I love like a what's it called? Sorry, just blanked.
No, you're fine.
Father-daughter dance or like a mother-daughter dance, like someone special with one of them. I get choked up every single time. I don't know what it is. It just destroys me. I feel like I'm actually trying to find a fun song to do with my dad.
Okay.
Because I know that if I do like a really sweet song, I will just completely break
What
down.
is it, like the butterfly kisses or whatever? It's
Oh my
like,
gosh, yes. He sent me that song. I texted him and I was like, "Hey, can you kind of start thinking about some
yeah.
potential songs?" And he sent me that. I'm like, "Did you just Google top 10
Yeah.
best father-daughter dance songs?" Because I've never heard the song
You've never
from
heard
you.
that song? Oh,
I've
no, for,
heard it
oh,
at
okay, okay.
weddings, but I've never heard him
Right.
play it or
You're like,
anything like
you
that. I'm
you
like, this,
Googled this. This is
yeah,
suspicious.
yeah. And no, so I'm like, we need to do something that's a little bit more fun
Upbeat.
because whenever I see that, it completely tears me apart.
I get it.
And just ceremonies, I love ceremonies too, especially when they're really thought out and like just really personalized. That's just my absolute favorite.
Like intentional. It's not just
Yes.
like the cut and dry. Yeah.
Yeah. For my wedding, I mean, honestly, I think just because of what I've seen photographing weddings, I want my entire date to be really intentional. Excuse me. Um, we, so our wedding party, we're all really close.
Okay.
We have a couple of people on both sides that are married. And so what we're doing for ours is we're sharing one, like our venue has one house on the property.
Okay.
And so we're just sharing that whole house
It's
getting
fun
ready. So that
though.
way we can all hang out with each other. And I mean, you hear the stories about how you don't really spend a lot of time with your spouse on your wedding day. And I want to spend as much of that day together as we can and with our best friends. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably going to get ready around each other all day long, probably break apart to like do the
Get
final
dressed.
touches for our
Yeah.
first look. And then after that, I just want to be able to hang out with each other and with our friends all day long. But I'm really excited for the reception for dancing. Our friends are really wild. And so it's going to be really, really fun.
Are you having any like anything at the reception, like party favors? Are you doing anything like not party favors, but like props or anything like that
Um,
during your reception?
I don't think so,
Okay.
but I mean, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We've been kind of playing around with if we want to do like an exit or anything like
Yeah.
that. I don't think we'd do a sparkler exit, but we haven't really given it much thought. But I think just because we know everyone
Like you don't
will,
need the props to
yeah,
get
like
people on the dance floor.
yeah, we know everyone will get themselves out on the dance floor. So I'm not too worried about it. We had
Yeah.
an engagement party, and that's how we decided if we were going to have a wedding or not.
Okay.
We
Did
had
you think you guys would maybe elope?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We initially were planning on, I don't even know if necessarily eloping, but having like a very, very micro wedding.
Yeah.
Probably with our parents. I'm an only child, so Wilson
Okay.
siblings. And then the people who would be like, who are in our wedding
Right.
party would probably be the only people who would have been invited. And it was just a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and the places that we wanted to have a micro wedding would have been way more expensive
Okay.
than having a wedding locally. And that's just, I mean, I think because Arkansas is just significantly cheaper than other states. So so we had the engagement party. It was like half engagement, half birthday party for me. And everyone was dancing. It was so much fun. We had a bartender hired for like 3 hours, I think. 3 or 4 hours, and we wiped her completely dry an hour early. She went home and had to like refund me for the last hour because she was like, well, there's no alcohol left. So it was so much fun. So I was like, the wedding is like we
You're
have to
like,
do wedding.
okay, noted. How much we need to buy alcohol
Yes,
wine?
yes. No, our bartender. I talked to her about it, and I was like, if we have 100 guests, you probably need to account for maybe 110,
Yeah.
115 because there's everyone
Yeah.
parties hard.
That's fun though. Like you know that
Yes.
it's gonna be a fun time.
Oh yeah.
Are you guys doing like a photo booth or anything like that?
Um, Still undetermined.
Okay.
A lot of the things are like still undetermined. And I
Yeah.
mean, we're closing in on it. And so I think we kind of walked our venue and kind of figured out where we wanted to do things. I think I do want to, which we just bought a house that we're remodeling. So we're a little bit busy with that,
I've
but
seen your stories. You guys have been like,
we've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like adding on to the
Yeah.
list because I want to build things for the wedding. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Wilson, I also want us to build a really cool,
Yeah.
like, welcome sign installation.
Yeah.
So I think that if we do something, I would love to build like a really cool, you see those like really crazy ones on Instagram? They're just like the big wooden
yeah,
signs. Like, I think it'd be really cool to build something like that that can also double as like a photo backdrop. But that's a matter of me just having Wilson assemble it. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can paint it, but I
Yeah.
need you to
I
do the
need you to construct
building.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a little bit harder.
Okay, so speaking of weddings, what is like one wedding vendor that you think can make or break a day? I mean, I know there's a lot, but what is one you're like, ooh, you have to make sure you've invested
Okay,
in this one?
this is one that I am very particular about, and not everyone is, but I am. I think arguably the most important vendor is the DJ. And I think that's because I'm really picky about music and I'm
Yeah.
really picky about just like ambiance and vibes.
Mm-hmm.
But DJs make a huge difference,
Mm-hmm.
and there aren't a lot of great ones. There are only a few that I personally really love. And for our wedding, we ended up having one of our best friends, like it's one of my bridesmaids' husbands.
Mm-hmm.
He's DJing for us.
Okay.
And he's great and he knows us, so he
Your
knows what we
style
like.
and
And yeah, and we're both half Hispanic.
mm-hmm.
So we also want to incorporate Spanish music and stuff. And so there's not a ton of DJs that can
Yeah.
do that. But other than that, I mean, there's a very few select number of DJs that I think can really personalize an experience to each couple. A lot of them will
Mm-hmm.
just show up and play the same playlist
What is
regardless.
it? Not two, is it two step? Like, what are those songs?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yes, I
Like,
know what you're saying. Yes.
whatever
Yeah,
those common
I know
ones are.
exactly what you're saying. Yes. And yeah, and I mean, I've been to weddings where it'll be, you know, the 90% of the wedding is young people,
Mm-hmm.
and then the DJ's playing songs to cater to the three like
Older.
aunts that are there.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think it's really important to be able to read the room, kind of
Mm-hmm.
adjust. I mean, if a reception is what's important to you,
Right.
for sure, that's the one that I think is really important.
Well, I mean, it's important too, even if a reception isn't like the end all be all for you, you have to think about it like, I mean, you're not having this wedding day for your guest, but like you're spending a lot of money
Yeah.
on your guest, on their food. Like you wouldn't have a wedding without all these guests.
Right.
Essentially, like the size of your wedding. So like, do you want them all leaving early because they came, they saw this,
Right.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you want, not even if you're not a dancer, you want something in the background, like you said, the vibe, everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I photographed a wedding where the couple, they weren't huge dancers, but they hired a live band,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a jazz band. And so the whole reception was them chatting with other guests, but it was cool because the
Yeah.
background was like live jazz music.
Right, like you're in New Orleans or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it
yeah,
was cool. Like it was just like a hangout. Everyone was
yeah.
chatting, and I mean, even that was like made a difference. I think it would have
Yes.
felt different if there was a different type of music playing that maybe didn't fit them necessarily.
So speaking of live band, do you have a preference? Like when you're photographing a wedding, do you love it when they have live bands or do you love it more when they have DJs?
I'm a DJ person.
Okay. Just
I
because they
am.
can play like different music or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I mean, I have done weddings with live bands, and they're really cool too.
Yeah.
But the weddings that I've done with live bands have been very unique. Like I did one where there wasn't a lot of dancing at that one either, but they live here in Northwest Arkansas, and there's a band. It's a local band. I think they're called. I think it's Arkansas or something.
Okay.
It's Arkansas something,
Mm-hmm.
and they had them come out, and because it's like a live band that they
Yeah.
really like, and so it was so cool that they had like something that was unique
Tailored
to
to
them,
them,
tailored
yeah.
to what they like, and I really love that too.
Yeah.
So I just think it depends on the couple. I really do.
I know I love live bands, but I haven't like, which I was just thinking, I was like, are all live bands like this? No. I hate when like I mean, I get it, they need a break, but like they'll have like a 45-minute break in the middle where then I'm just like, it's kind of odd. But I was like, we just had a live band on Saturday and they didn't take one break. So I'm like, maybe that's just, I don't know,
I don't know. Yeah.
something different. But because it's like an odd where it's like, boom, they're so great. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, where did it
There's like an
go?
awkward die down
And if
in
you
the
don't
middle.
hire like a DJ to come in that time, which why would you? You've already spent so much money. It's just
Right.
like filler music that's like not the same vibe.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what I
just
mean?
like a weird little pause.
Yeah.
And then,
Which I
yeah.
get it. They need to eat. They need a break. I understand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just always like, it does kind of like mess the vibe a little, in my opinion.
Yeah, and those are things that I mean, we think about those things because we see it all the time.
Right.
But a couple who's getting married for the first time, they're not thinking about those tiny little like logistical
Yeah.
things. And so, I don't know. Those are things where I'm like, I do really think that it depends on the couple because there are weddings where maybe there could be a live band and the guests, like that's not really their vibe,
Them.
and then they're
Yes.
not getting up and dancing, but then maybe there's guests that are, and like everyone's enjoying it and having so much fun. So I really just think that one depends for
Yeah,
sure.
that is true. Speaking of logistics, are you hiring a planner for your wedding?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. I'm very adamant about having a wedding planner. I actually just updated my contracts this year, or
Okay.
updated my packages to where all weddings, like all, I mean, unless it's like a micro wedding,
Right.
but all of my regular weddings must have a wedding planner or day of coordinator that is not an in-house, like an in-venue
There's no such
coordinator.
thing as an in-house planner.
So true. That is so true. There's really not. I mean, I don't even really know what they do. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, in my opinion, don't come at me, but they're for the venue. Like
Absolutely.
they are in the venue's best interest. They're not in the couple's
Yeah.
best interest. Like that is, they're not
Yeah.
the same.
I I genuinely don't really know what their purpose is. I think there's weddings that I've done that have had venue coordinators, and I feel like those weddings were specifically weddings that also had like in-house catering.
Like it's like
Like
you
they're
come here one package with
yeah.
everything included.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're kind of coordinating like, okay, when's the kitchen gonna have the food ready? When do we
Yeah.
need to bring it out? But yeah, I've never really understood the purpose of them, because for those I've been heavily involved in
Right.
kind of the timing of
Yeah.
things. But yeah, it's just unfortunately, and it's hard because obviously that is an investment, and I totally understand that. But to put to not have a planner, you're putting that pressure on your vendors, and that's taking away from the vendors being able to do their best job. I mean, specifically the photographer or video,
Yeah.
the people who are around them all day long.
Yeah. I mean, we're with the couple the entire
Yeah.
time.
And because we're with them the entire time, people think that we have the answers to everything.
Yeah.
And so the questions come to us, and then that takes away from us being able to do our jobs, or it'll be the mom,
Yeah.
the maid of honor, someone that's close to the family, and that takes away from them being able to truly experience the
Enjoy.
day and, be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a new addition for me, and that's mostly because I don't feel like I can fully do my job to my best potential,
To your standard.
having to pause throughout the day.
So we had Paige and Company too on the thing, and she had a whole like thing about that. That's also in their contract. And I feel like I'm seeing it a lot. And she was even saying that florists are starting to add that clause
Oh.
in their contract because they're running into issues too, which I'm like, they're having to kind of question brides on day of because maybe they don't know exactly where, or, there's just so many logistical things that you don't think about either that the planner's handling that you're not realizing, oh, I'm going to have to handle this on my day when I'm also trying to get my hair and makeup done, when I'm also worried about 10,000 other things.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, since this is becoming popular and you've just started this, have you noticed anyone like not booking you because you had that in there?
I have had, so I mean, and this is like one thing where people talk about ghosting and stuff like that. I don't care to get ghosted. It doesn't
Yeah.
bother me. It maybe hurts me if we're like down to the final legs of like building
Yeah.
like a contract, or like building like a proposal, things like
Right.
that, and we've been back and forth and all of that. Yes, but usually I have it now in my wedding guide, which thankfully I feel like my wedding guide, I think I might sell it soon.
Okay.
I've built it out very well to where it explains everything very thoroughly, and so I have it now to where there's my page that has my pricing on it,
Okay.
and my packages, and on that page at the bottom of it is
It
like,
has like
yeah, it's
FYI.
yes. And so I also send different guides for regular weddings versus micro weddings. So my micro wedding guide doesn't have that on there, but my regular wedding guide has these 3 packages. You must have a wedding planner or day of coordinator. And I mean, my wedding planner, she stepped in last month.
Okay.
So about 3 months out from the wedding. So I don't expect you to have
A full planning
a full
service.
planner that's like making your invites and sending your invites and booking all.
Right.
I don't expect that, but I think you do need someone
An
there
organizer.
day of,
Yeah.
who's aware of who the vendors are, and that, like, all those aspects that involve making sure the day runs smoothly. And I think the response has been either no response, people just don't reply to the initial email, or I mean, it's been received really well. I mean, people have asked me, okay, I see that you require this.
Yeah.
I already have a planner, or I see that you require this. Like, would you mind sending me some recommendations of people that you've worked well with?
I feel like that says a lot that couples are trusting your experience.
Yes.
That they know, like, if this is important to her, maybe I need to, like, take that
Yes.
advice.
Yes. And I think the other thing too is I don't think that that's something that I would have been able to do a couple years ago when my experience was lower and when my pricing was lower.
Right.
I think that now that I've kind of raised my prices, I've stepped into a different caliber of weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if a couple is willing to spend what I'm charging
Yes.
now, then their vendors are important to them.
Yeah. They trust that. I
Yeah.
love when couples go into a day and they're like, not that they're clueless, that's not the right word, but they are all trusting. They're like, I know I did my due diligence. I've
Yes.
hired the right people and I'm going to let them do their job.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
those
not going to micromanage.
yes, and those have always been the best ones. I've told people that I'm like, if you and it's hard because I want couples to ask the right questions when they're booking me because I want them to know what to look for. I really appreciate it when couples ask like just like really specific questions like, okay, what's your process of like protecting my photos?
Right.
What's your approach to how you do the day?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they get into like very, very specific questions that aren't really relevant to like how I work, then you kind of start to second guess it. I feel bad because I love that they're asking these
Right.
questions, but I'm like, I feel like there might be a little bit of micromanaging going on, and yeah, and those weddings that I've had have always been. I mean, I've never had a bad experience with a couple. I've always had wonderful
Yeah.
experiences, but they have been days that have been a little bit more. I don't want to say difficult either. They're
Where
just
they couldn't even enjoy it because they were almost like,
yes,
yeah, an
yes.
extra layer of like, they're making sure they're checking boxes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So just there's a little bit more pressure to it,
Mm-hmm.
and but the weddings that I've shot where they don't care
Mm-hmm.
have been just I mean, it's been so incredible. Just it's like so freeing to be able to go
Yeah.
photograph a wedding day and just do whatever you want, and
Mm-hmm.
they're so happy with them.
Yeah.
I mean, and luckily this year has been so awesome
Mm-hmm.
where I've had so much fun
Yeah.
because I think I've finally gotten to that point where I'm booking clients who trust me. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think that you can't really get clients like that until you've kind of established
Yeah,
yourself a little bit more.
absolutely. So speaking from a vendor, like someone that's a vendor listening, I'm just curious because I mean, I'll tell you what I do, but I know, I think not that it's like industry standard, but I do know a lot of people that if, let's say a couple is coming to you and it's 2024 and their wedding is in 2025 or 2026, are you booking on 2024 pricing or do you send them different pricing?
Um, I I don't like to book more than 18 months out.
Okay.
So I I kind of have like one price guide at a time.
Okay.
So if it's so like I recently got an inquiry or a couple inquiries for couples that were getting married summer of 2026.
Okay.
And so I just tell them, "Hey, I'm not booking that right now. I'd love
Yeah.
to put you on my wait list." And so come about like October, November
Mm-hmm.
of one year, I'll start booking out not the following year, but the year
Yeah.
after. So like this fall, I'll open up 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say, "Hey, I'll send you what my packages look like right now, but I
Mm-hmm.
cannot guarantee that
Price.
they will look the same." And
Okay.
so I'll kind of remake
Mm-hmm.
a new guide when I'm ready to start releasing
Okay,
it
so
to
see,
that
I
group.
make like it's my same copy and pasted guide, but
Mm-hmm.
with different like pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So like if my couple's booking for 2025, which that's what we're all booking essentially right
Right.
now, it's a different price than what I've already booked in 2024. And I know that a
Right.
lot of people don't do that there, but I'm like, once I get to that wedding, then I'm gonna be like, "Ugh," you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
harder. I don't know. Does that
Yeah.
make
I mean, I
sense?
guess that mine kind of ends up working out
Mm-hmm.
the same way because I'm not allowing people to book.
Book. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I kind of limit that too because I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I'm in, if you're reaching out 24 months out
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not booking until 12 to 16 months out,
Yeah.
I mean, in those 8 to 12 months, my experience is drastically changing.
Upgrading gear all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think just I would say probably every season, my experience is drastically improving. So it's not even every year. I think
Yeah.
truly every season. I mean, every wedding, really.
Yeah.
And so I I have gotten in positions before in the past where I have booked stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wish I would have charged more for this
Yes.
because now that I'm here, I'm like, I'm so much different than I was when I
Yes.
initially booked this couple. Yeah. So, but I change my prices all the time.
Okay.
There are times where I'll do big price jumps and I'll announce that.
Yeah.
But I kind of just experiment all the time. I think that's maybe like the business side of me. But I just experiment with numbers. Because I mean,
Yeah.
that's another thing too, is like psychologically people process packages differently. So sometimes I'll just kind of change a couple of
Yeah.
numbers just to see how, like, on the consumer side, like how
They take
they're
it.
processing them and kind of seeing which package is getting the most attention and things like that. And so I
Yeah.
kind of tweak stuff from there. But it's not ever anything that's like totally
Totally.
outrageous.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's what I feel like I do that too, where I'm like, I'm always changing things, which I don't have my prices on my website. I don't know if you do, but I don't know, because I'm like, I'm always tweaking things, or I'm like, you know what, like we really don't need this in this package, or we really
Yes.
do need this. Or like
Yes.
for a minute there, I did it where it was like up to 10 hours of coverage and I didn't charge extra, but then I like just switched it back to like, no, 8 hours and we'll add on
Yes.
to the 10 hours. Cause it was like one of those where I was like, I really need to be there at that time. And like, I don't want it not to hurt my work, but like, I'm that person too, where I'm like, I want to make sure I'm getting it all,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah. There's things like that too, where, I mean, depending on kind of like how a client is envisioning their day, I'm like, I just don't think that you need to do this one.
Yeah.
Just realistically. But I put my starting prices for like shoots, like regular sessions, and I think like micro weddings.
Okay.
I don't put my full wedding, but that's because my pricing structure for those is drastically different than my wedding pricing. And it's not that my wedding pricing doesn't make sense compared
Right.
to my other pricing. It's just that my lowest package for my wedding packages probably looks really outrageous
Right.
if you're seeing that on a website where you're seeing
Right.
starting prices this.
Yeah.
I think that would probably turn a lot of people away versus if they look at my full guide and they see the starting price, but then they see my second and third packages, they're like, oh, this number's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
that terrifying compared to that starting number.
Right.
So I think that's just mostly because I think people perceive it
It is all like,
differently.
I mean, even, you know, I feel like that's just like when you're on a website and it's like, spend $15 more and you get free shipping. You
Right.
know, like, I mean, I do that too, you know, where I'm like,
like, yeah,
I might as well spend $15 more.
I'll find something to add to the cart. Yeah, why not?
All right, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to like share, piece of advice for couples, piece of advice for vendors starting out, or someone who looks up to you and is like, how do I get to her level?
Yeah.
Anything like that you want to share?
I think for couples, I definitely think always, be true to yourself. I know that with couples, there's different financial situations and different people are in different positions with kind of how weddings are being handled and who's paying for what. But I think if you can do what you can to make your wedding about you and not about everybody else, just kind of always come back to that. Like, what do I want? Because at the end of the day, it's about you.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're inviting people, but it's your day. So just kind of come back to that whenever your things are starting to get a little wild.
Yeah.
Just come back to that. For vendors in general, I would say network as much as you can.
Okay.
With other vendors, it's great to have relationships with other people. Be good to other people too. I mean, people love to share great experiences and people love to share bad experiences. So just be good to everybody. I think that's really important. And for people starting out, I would say in whatever industry you're in, invest in education. That is something I wish I would have done more of. I didn't invest a lot in education up until later on. And I think that my career, I mean, I feel like my career has been advancing at a great pace, but I think that it would have really catapulted me if I would have invested in it.
Would you have
earlier
preferred like courses or like mentorships? Like, what do you think that you would have veered towards?
I think that I think I did a little bit of courses online and that did help, but I would say probably mentorships.
Okay.
Mentorships from someone who you look up to
Mm-hmm.
and who is going down a path that you would like to go down.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there's this wedding industry, everyone is so different with how they approach their business. So kind of just following and trying to learn from people
Yeah.
who have been where you're at and who are where you would like to be.
And they
I
want you
think
to
that's a really important
succeed.
one. Yeah. I really wish I would have done more of that earlier on for sure.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you.
My Instagram is Alyssa Simpson Photos, Alyssa Simpson Photos.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty much only on Instagram. I'm trying to get into TikTok, but I am terrified of it a little bit too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Instagram's my big one.
Yeah. Okay, so you're about to be a bride. Are you changing your last name?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I deal with this literally every day. I think business wise, no.
No. Yeah.
I'm Alyssa Simpson forever.
Yeah.
I did want to, but I started investing in print, some print advertising, and I think it would just be too much to like reroute people.
What's going to be, or what would be your new last name?
Valdez. Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be a pretty drastic change.
Yeah.
I think if anything, I'm going to probably drop my middle name.
Okay.
And then just be Alyssa Simpson Valdez. I don't even think I would want to hyphenate because I've heard that that's also kind of complicated.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah, like on my social security card, I think they messed up. Or like on my, it's so weird, like on my taxes or something. I'm like, that's my old middle name. Like my social security card's different. I don't know. It's so weird.
Right.
Like all these different things.
I
It's a
know.
lot to change your name.
Yeah, I've been seeing like I mean, and it's great. I've seen TikToks now that are like, you're getting married soon. This is
Yeah.
like these are all the forms you need to submit. These are
Yeah.
all things you need to send to the government, and it's just really overwhelming. Part of me just wants to keep my name and just like publicly take his last name, kind of like
Who would know?
yeah, who would know? Like if people are addressing stuff to us or our household, or that would be our family name, but
Yeah.
that's still an unknown
That's
for
that's an
sure.
unknown.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. Until next time. Bye. As we finish this episode, we want to say a big thank you to all of the support on our podcast. You can find us at Black Tie Opt Podcast. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast.